Hello, this is our tosser, and sorry about the last LG guide I made. It was a little quiet, the in-game audio was pretty loud, so then I adjusted the volume. Hopefully this time the mic volume is better, and yeah, hopefully you guys can hear me. I'll just make this is just going to be a quick guide. And again, I want to say I'm not that great at LG aiming. I can hit around 40% on average in quick play against okay to decent opponents. Like there's much better players out there too that can like absolutely destroy me. So take my advice with a grain of salt. Anyhow, like if you are around currently like hitting around 30% and you guys want to try to improve on that, like hopefully this guy can help. And let's get started. Like first thing I want to cover is your setup. So your sitting position, actually, your sitting posture, your desk space. Currently, you want to sit in a way that's comfortable for you, and that also won't lead to any injuries. So I mean, it's like if you play for 2 hours, you don't want your shoulders to be hurting after that, and you don't want to develop carpal tunnel. So watch that, pressure on your wrist. Watch out. We definitely don't want to get injured, right? And yeah, your distance to the monitor also, you want to think about that. Some pros in gaming definitely, sit very close. But I think you don't need to do that. Yeah, unless you're going pro, you can afford to do that. I would say just sit a good distance away. Yeah, don't hurt your eyes. Okay, anyways, try to get that comfortable sitting posture. And once you have that, right, your setup's good. And how about your mouse pad? Where does it place? Like, do you have a lot of movement? Because that's gonna affect how much sensitivity you want too. You have a big mouse pad with a lot of space for your arm to move around in, then you can afford to set mouse sense low, something lower. But if you don't, then unfortunately you might have to set it higher to compensate. Because or otherwise you'd have, if it's really low mouse sense and you have little mouse pad to work with, you're gonna have to recenter your mouse a lot, which is tricky, especially for LG aiming. Anyways, for reference, my in-game settings are horizontal FOV at 120, and I think my monitor is 16:9 by 9 ratio, so basically 1080p. Mouse sensitivity, I have at 1.9 at 800 dpi. This is, it's a personal preference thing. Generally, I think pro Quake players keep it between something from 2.2 to 2.5. I would say. I think that's the average. Yeah, going closer to 2.5 is a little on the high side, but yeah, generally I think a pro player uses a sense around that. I think for reference, Toxic, one of the best LG aimers, had it on 2.3 or something like that. So yeah, that's just a reference. So find something that's comfortable for you. Keep in mind, the higher the sense, the more fine muscle control you will need to track opponent in the distance. The lower, the less muscle control, I would say. But you also struggle with movement because now you have to flick a lot to look around, right? So for circle jumps, you might find that more challenging. So try to find something that's balanced. Then let's talk about LG aiming. Quickly talk about, let me see, some of the concepts. I'm just gonna go into actually Blood Covenant. I can set time limit to 5 minutes. We'll keep it quick, short and quick. Everything looks good. Self damage. The starting weapon, just give all. No, okay, quick. Let's go. So LG aiming. I guess the thing I want to say is that LG aiming is you can think of it as a 3-step process. Anytime you use the LG, you're trying to frag an opponent. The first step is always you want to put your crosshair on target, right? Pretty much you just aim and shoot as quick as possible. You can, as quickly as you can, put your crosshair on target. But LG is a little more forgiving than real in this case. Real point and click, but if you miss, this long cooldown before you can fire again, and your opponent can destroy you with rockets at close range, or LG too. So with LG, when you miss that initial first shot, you can quickly slide your LG on target. Let's say the opponent's there. I miss my first shot. I can quickly. Let's say I walk up the staircase. I don't know who he is. I think he's on heavy, and pretend he is on heavy, right? Oh, I forgot to set infinite ammo. Oh my god, what a mistake! Terrible. Okay, anyways, I walk up there. I think he's around. He's there. Okay, I missed, but it's okay. I just put my cross down target, and then I start firing. Oh, I continue firing, and I keep. And I'm gonna track and pretend he didn't dodge at first, so I'm just tracking and just shooting in. And then I need to set infinite ammo. My bad. We got this important setting. Infinite. What's the infinite ammo? Ah, there we go. Okay. Yes. So I want to talk. Yeah, earlier, as I was saying, you put your crosshair on target, fine. But then, if your opponent's like even somewhat experienced, right, they'll think, I can't just be standing still. I have to try to throw his thing off. Unless he's like recover, he's just ready to take down. Yeah, you're most likely your opponent's not gonna be staying still. He's gonna start strafing in an attempt to like get out of harm's way, in an attempt to throw your aim off. Then you have to try to track him. And this is the step 2, right? I would say a 3-step process. First, you acquire the target. First, you cross on target.
Better.
When you first like peek around the corner and you both see each other, you start trying to hit him. Maybe your initial aim is off, that's fine. You just quickly adjust, and now you're hitting him. But as you're aiming at him and shooting, then he's gonna try to throw your aim off. Let's pretend he starts strafing left and right around this general space. So then you're gonna have to try to track him. But because we're not like perfect, our reaction time is not like instantaneous. Sometimes he's gonna throw us off a little. So then let's say he strafes to the left of us. Initially he goes around these 2 parts between this point and this point, and I'm tracking him to the best of my ability. Then all of a sudden he does a little white strafe extraction. Oh, I'm now off target because I think he was straight back, but then now he started to go there. So then I have to quickly reacquire it. So then I would say the losing track will be the 3rd step, and then reacquiring the target, or just basically we're back to step 1 again, right? Where now we have to put the crosshair on target again. And then as we do, he's gonna start dodging. Maybe he's dodged here, then he comes back. So then I have to then try to track again, and then if he throws me off, I have to quickly reacquire it. And then it's just kind of just this looping process of acquiring the target, maintaining the tracking, losing the target, and then reacquire the target. And that's pretty much it, 3-step. I guess 4th step is reacquiring. So 1st step, acquire target. 2nd step, tracking target. 3rd step, losing the target. 4th step, reacquire target. Back to step 1. And then until like eventually somebody gets fragged. And that's pretty much it, the process. Now, let's talk very quickly about some of the struggles, right? Okay, and some of what is. Okay, let's talk about one thing. Strafing. Like, why do we do it, right? There's basically, I think, 3 reasons I can think of. One, your opponent has something and he's shooting back at you. You have to try to throw off his aim as well, right? Generally, you don't want to stand completely still because you're gonna take damage. A lot of damage. Sometimes he has FG2 and he's melting. So what you want to do is you want to incorporate strafe. You want to strafe to dodge. Second reason you want to also strafe to aim is to aim, right? The first is you're strafing to dodge. The second, you're strafing to help you aim because your mouse, depending on what kind of sense you have, like how fast your opponent is moving, how panicked you are, sometimes it's not very consistent. Your tracking is either slower or more quick than the opponent's movement on screen, and you can throw off your own. And it's harder, I would say. So, like sometimes against like really quick strafing movement, like to keep track with just pure mousing. So, with strafing, you can use it to help you aim. If your opponent's like dodging one direction and you mirror his movement, basically when you both dodge to the same direction, right? Like he's going to this wall, I'm going to that wall. Then I can keep if my crosshair is on target when we both start dodging, I can keep the crosshair stationary and it'll still hit because movement speed is mostly uniform in Quake, right? We have the same movement speed, so assuming we move at the same time across the same distance, same movement, if I can just like keep mirroring him, if he's dodging left, I dodge left, dodge right, maybe I slightly delayed and I make that micro adjustment with the mouse, but then I can keep my crosshair relatively in the same place without any movement, and I can hit with just strafe aiming, right? Yeah, and that can help. That makes it easy. So strafe aiming can be used to assist in aiming. And then the third reason you might want to use strafe aiming is because sometimes your opponent can do a really quick short strafes, like something like this. And then that can like really make it hard, right? Sometimes, yeah, it feels really hard to keep that cross on target when they're making like really quick short strafes. So what can happen is when you mirror the movement, you can like negate that and keep them at the center of your screen, basically. So basically, when you move, like matching your movement to theirs, you are kind of negating that quick movement, and that can also help. So yeah, that's the three benefits. One, you're strafing to dodge damage that's incoming, like maybe he has rocket. Two, you're strafing because mirroring someone is sometimes more reliable than trying to track the same movement with just aiming, your mouse aiming. And third, because when you're moving quickly, sometimes when you're using strafe aim, you can negate opponent's movement, and with certain kind of like movement patterns that can make it visually easier to track. So that's the three reasons. Alright, next let's talk about, yeah, so that's why we sometimes use strafe aim. And a lot of guides, I think like the general advice for people just starting out learning LG is to try to learn strafing, or like incorporate strafing into the aiming, because it helps. Like it takes away some of the mouse movement needed. This is a bit of the mouse aiming, and also because like a lot of beginners, I think they struggle with like the mouse aim, right? Because they panic, they overflick, they move a little too much, they flail a bit. So with strafe aiming, you kind of negate some of that. You're using your strafe keys to help you aim a bit, and then now you just need to micro-correct. The amount of micro-correction you need is lower, right? Let's quickly go to gridlock, and we'll talk a bit about some of the exercises you can do to help you health and armor shouldn't decay. Let's make the bot very easy, and let's just keep LG with infinite ammo and enemy knockback. And we'll set our opponent to use, oops, not here. Not sure who's good for this. I guess if you want to practice, if you're a little less experienced, you want an easier dummy to shoot at, choose a heavier champion, Kyo or either Clutch. Probably the easiest. He has the biggest hitbox among the cast. For our purpose, I'll just keep Skill Bear. Okay, yes, let's go in. Sorry, let me just quickly. Yeah, 5 minutes should be enough to cover the topic. Okay, yeah, this is just gonna be a really short guy. Probably won't go too much into the details. Yeah, we already mentioned strafing. And now I'll talk about a few exercises you can practice with in Quake Champions. So yeah, you would want to go into a gridlock map like this in a custom game. Set up your dummy, your bot to be very easy, right? So he doesn't hit you back too hard. You just want to practice your own aim. Don't want to need to worry about dodging too much. Yeah, first, I would say for beginning, like at the start, you can turn off the bot. You don't even need the bot. Just shoot. Find a spot on the wall. Find a spot. Like earlier, like I was shooting at the heavy armor. Find a space on your target, and then kind of just practice your own mouse control. How well you can keep your crosshair over it, right? If you can keep it in a smooth manner, see how like aiming smoothly to the left and to the right, like to compensate for my own movement, own streak. If I'm dodging to my right, I'm moving my mouse to my left. If I'm dodging to the left, I'm moving my mouse to the right, and kind of just with this kind of movement, I can keep my crosshair close and roundly on target, on a stationary target. Now, if he starts moving, right, and then I have to, if he's mirroring, then I don't really aim much, because we're moving the same direction. Let's say pretend the ball is like moving along this wall to the right, the same speed I am. I don't need to move my mouse if it's already on target, right? I only need to hold down 5 button. But if he goes in the opposite direction, let's say he moves to the left, that's like dodge to the right over the at this red line, then I had to not only, because when earlier I dodged to my right and aiming at the stationary target on the like this point on the wall, and he hit in here, I'm compensating for my own movement. But now let's say I have to aim a little further to the left because he's moving further to the left. Then I have to aim that extra distance that's been created now, right, by his strafe movement. So when anti-mirror happens, that is when your opponent is moving in the opposite direction of your strafe, you have to aim a little more, and that's just something you gotta keep in mind, right? Like that, right? You have to just keep that in mind. When you're mirroring, you don't really move, so your mouse movement is minimal, and when you're anti-mirroring, your mouse movement is slightly increased than if you're shooting at a stationary target. And then that's just all you need to do. So then now if I'm trying to hit this target, and I see how I'm trying to mirror him, okay, this is mirroring. See, I don't need to move my crosshair, and I slightly off, sometimes like he moves a little faster and I don't react right away. Like he changes direction a little faster than I do. I can just reposition the mouse, the crosshair on target, and now I'm back to mirroring. And this is something you can just practice against a dummy like this. You don't even have to shoot him. You can kind of just. And then also keep in mind, the closer you are, the more movement you have to do. Like let's say right now I'm really close and still clean. Notice how much like he's gonna be out of my cross. Like how quickly he's gonna be out of my sight, right? He's in my blind spot. So I have to flick a wider distance, like this 90-degree flick every time like I get out. But let's say if I'm really far apart, I'm still circling him, but now I have to move my mouse only a little. So distance matters. The closer you are to a target, the more you're gonna have to do with aiming. The further you are, despite both of us like strafing quite wide, you see how little I need to like cross. Like it's only taking up how much the angle, like 30 degrees or something, 20, 15 degrees. So yeah, the further you are from your target, the less your mouse generally has to move. And then this is good practice. Like once you do like the shooting at the wall practice, where you're moving and trying to like compensate your own displacement by your movement. Now you just try to, you can practice your mirroring, or you can practice like other movement, other situation too. Like you can try to purely mirror or anti-mirror. No, I try to go the opposite direction. So I notice he's going right, like he's following me, then I quickly go in the opposite direction. And if we're done right, we're always going to be moving in the opposite direction. This bot is kind of predictable with his movement, so obviously, like, prolonged practice with the bot might be bad because you guys just develop these kind of mouse. Yeah, because real humans, they probably don't strafe like this all the time. They're going to try to mix in different like strafe patterns. They might wide strafe one direction and short strafe next, like in the other direction a little. They're going to try more stuff, right? Be more unpredictable. The bot is relatively predictable. But at the very least, you can practice your anti-mirror and then
1 minute warning.
And then your mirror. And yeah, I think this is a good start. If you have Kovacs, you can use the 3 scenarios I mentioned there too. Those I generally find to be helpful. Yeah, but once you know, now you're, and then in a real LG fight, right, against better dodgers, better aimers, more experienced players, they're gonna try to throw your aim off more, right? It's not gonna be a pure mirror, pure anti-mirror. It's gonna be a mix of both all the time. They might do long strafes, short strafe at first, then a little long strafe. So you do have to move your mouse a bit more, and adjust as needed in the scenario. But idea is the same. The concept is, and I think the takeaway is, you don't actually need to move your mouse too much. And when you're dodging with your strafe, you're also using it as an aiming, right? It's in unison. Dodging, when I'm dodging, I also adjust my crosshair accordingly. It's not just like 2 separate things, right? My strafe button and my mouse hand is working in unison. They're not isolated, and that's the idea. I think the takeaway. Yeah, and I would argue that in the really good. Yeah, with this kind of thing in mind, like if you just apply these kind of concepts, using a bit of strafe, using strafe to help assist with the aim, and trying to keep your mouse stable, more stable, not flailing it too much, your percentage, amount of LG you hit will definitely go up. And then the more you practice it, the more used to moving the mouse you will be. and now your mouse control is also increasing. Don't flail too much. Just once you acquire the target, make the necessary adjustment. Use your strafe aim to help do whatever, right? To dodge, to make your opponents seem like they're not moving as much on the screen. Earlier, I mentioned that, and that's, I think, the takeaway. Try to get that mouse movement stable. Try to keep it minimal. Once you acquire the target, especially at mid-long range fights, you're not gonna need to aim too wildly, too fast. Right, so it's like that. Obviously, against better dodges who mix in more strafe patterns, you're gonna have to adjust more. They're gonna make things more tricky. Your crosshair will be thrown off a bit more. But just keep in mind, keep all of it in mind. Practice your find I guess the exercises in this Quake gym you can do is to in a map like Gridlock or something, find a wall to shoot at, and then followed by setting up a dummy, and then just trying to practice your strafing by practicing your mirror and your anti-mirror, and then perhaps once you're good enough with that, go into a quick play and play against other people, play against humans who actually will try to throw you in off and be unpredictable with the dodging, and then just keep those things in mind. That's pretty much it. I think that I covered pretty much the most important stuff. This is just like a quick way to get started, right? With your LG aim. Hopefully in the future, your mouse control improves, because with LG, I think the good aiming is, it's not just pure mouse, but it's also not pure strafe aiming too. Because again, I said, you could get, if you're getting mirrored, if you're just purely mirroring, you become predictable, and someone can actually destroy you. Or if purely anti-mirror, that can also become, someone that's experienced can recognize that and use that against you. So most of the time, you're gonna actually try to mirror and then anti-mirror at the same time, and it's kind of become, you won't actually be conscious of it, because in a fight, you're not gonna have that much time to think, right? It'll become, as you practice, it's gonna become more of like a subconscious thing you do, kind of like a muscle memory thing, when you become used to when you strafe right, you aim to the center to compensate for that move, and then the concept becomes anyway, that's pretty much it. Okay, thanks for watching. Hopefully this video will help you on your journey to becoming better at using the LG gun. Good luck, buddy. See you out there in the arena.